1, 2, is this on?
Sometimes the biggest superstar in WWE is the fans. There's been countless occasions where fans have taken over and stole the show.
Hot hands by the Intercontinental Champion, finding their mark on the game.
Whether it's by enhancing the stories being told with their chants,
Changing forearms, middle of the ring.
or by completely hijacking matches and entire events because they don't like what they see.
WWE Championship match in the ring, and these fans are doing a wave!
In fact, they might even ignore the action altogether.
Over the zigzag again.
We'll cover it all today as we highlight 30 times WWE fans hijack shows. Let's begin with someone we're going to be seeing a great deal of throughout this list, John Cena. Cena was receiving polarizing reactions in 2006, a year removed from becoming the WWE's top guy, and exactly 12 months on from winning the WWE title at WrestleMania 21 in 2005, John was met with his harshest crowd yet at Mania 22, facing Triple H in the wrestling hotbed of Chicago. It was going to get a lot worse as the months and years progressed, but this was where numerous fans first began to say they'd seen enough of Cena. The night before at the Hall of Fame, John was booed out of the building. Cena would later admit that he didn't know how to deal with such a response at this point in his career.
I remember turning to Vince and like, what am I supposed to do? He goes, just go out and smile.
But after a great speech inducting footballer William Refrigerator Perry,
it's good to see Triple H's immediate family in the house. Thank you very much for coming.
John was able to turn the crowd by the end, a skill he would only get better at as time went on.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the WrestleMania 22 match began with an electric crowd yelling "F you, Cena."
And if John Cena wins here tonight, he's going to disappoint a lot of fans. Listen to this.
That was followed by "You can't wrestle" chants.
Literally a textbook fisherman suplex, almost a version of the late Kurt Hennig.
The "Na na 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 hey 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 goodbye" song could briefly be heard being sung.
And the game now, with Cena in a vulnerable position to say the least.
Then we'd hear one of the first instances of the iconic "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" dueling chants.
Textbook.
A yeah boo spot preceded the match's closing stages.
Cena retaliates downstairs. Cena now, standing toe-to-toe. This may not bode well.
John got a pop after submitting the game to retain the WWE title.
Cena.
Cena then faced the Chicago crowd again the next night on Raw.
stop the music. I want to hear this.
Triple H was once again tasked with putting over the new Golden Boy at WrestleMania 32. However, this time around the match wasn't as good and the crowd reaction was even more negative for the game's opponent. Roman Reigns had been getting similar polarizing reactions to the one Cena got years previous. The difference was Roman was a lot further behind where John was at the same stage. That being said, the WWE did everything to force Reigns down the fans' throats, only to be met with backlash. And Mania 32 in Dallas was a prime example. The main event began with Roman being told he sucks.
Roman still suffering from that low blow.
The crowd then started to ignore the bout, chanting for NXT.
Any mistake here.
And he realizes he's got to get the champ back in the ring to have any.
Look at this.
As well as NXT wrestlers such as Shinsuke Nakamura, who had just debuted 2 days prior.
And the official checking it.
And the man Nakamura wrestled in his debut, Sami Zayn.
Triple H just crawling around at ringside.
There were even chants for Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, and Bayley, but it was noticeable how WWE began to turn the crowd volume down.
For the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the champion Triple H, the challenger Roman Reigns.
Reigns got his big win on the night, but it would be another 4 years until he really found himself as a character and was universally accepted by the fans. In both his programs with Reigns and Cena, Triple H was one of the last huge stars fans watched in the Attitude Era that was still wrestling. Fans in the Attitude Era were known for their X-rated chants that made the shows back then even better than they already were. They weren't taking away from the matches or segments, but rather adding to them with the right kind of heat and chants. The July 3rd, 2000 episode of Raw from Orlando, Florida featured a trademark Attitude Era crowd. The 13,000 fans in attendance made noise the whole show and gave us some brilliant chants throughout the night.
Broke Bob Holly's arm. I gotta give Bob Holly credit. We all know how tough he is. Can you imagine finishing the match?
Shane McMahon was greeted on stage by being called an asshole.
We're still chanting.
The audience then noted Shane O'Mac's cat-like abilities, so to speak.
Feet in the air. Stop it. Please shut up. Show some respect.
The Orlando crowd also had a bit to say about Shane's sister Stephanie.
Don't you remember how good Raw was when come out here Triple H would make a match or two?
We even got to see a signature ECW-inspired chant aimed at Steph.
Hot hands by the Intercontinental Champion, finding their mark on the game.
Speaking of ECW, we'll get to some of their iconic hijacking of shows under the WWE umbrella later, but let's first look at a show titled Three-Way Dance that the original ECW fans hijacked back in 1995 at the ECW Arena in South Philadelphia. The crowd buried Sabu the whole night after he no-showed the event to take a booking in Japan. That's despite him being advertised to appear in a big match on the ECW card long in advance.
Sabu had told me the week before that he was being booked in Japan.
The people absolutely let him have it and didn't stop constantly chanting F Sabu.
You showed up tonight. Not like the Sabu.
Sabu was eventually welcomed back, but it just goes to show what happens when you upset the rabid ECW fanbase. The original ECW fans were definitely at their rowdiest in their home base of Philly. But these fans would be ashamed of how the Pittsburgh crowd 300 miles away behaved during the main event of Extreme Rules 2018. Dolph Ziggler defended the Intercontinental Championship against Seth Rollins in a 30-minute Iron Man match. The clash is best remembered for the audience constantly counting down while viewing the clock.
No doubt the WWE fans counting down with the clock here.
Counting down makes sense in a Royal Rumble, where a new wrestler enters every 2 minutes or so, but for an Iron Man match, it's pointless for fans to count down unless it's the actual final 10 seconds of the bout. Fans kept counting along in the Rollins-Ziggler match, forcing WWE to remove the clock from the big screen. But this didn't stop the crowd from still continuing and even demanding the clock return.
Going for the zigzag again. We're now down.
Getting rid of the clock only made things worse, as the fans were now counting down at random intervals, continuing to ignore the match.
And we're down the King's Right, but if the first 15 minutes taught us anything,
The audience then cheered as the clock returned.
we're under 10 to go.
The countdowns then continued until the finish.
We are back at even. The final 3 minutes.
Dolph emerged victorious in overtime, putting an end to what should have been a show-stealing match from the wrestlers, but was stolen by the crowd instead. The WWE main roster hasn't booked an Iron Man match since as of 2024. Rollins is certainly no stranger to fans hijacking one of his pay-per-view main events. His match at SummerSlam 2016 to crown the first ever Universal Champion was marred by chants directed at how the new belt looked. The title had recently been unveiled, so the Brooklyn crowd began to voice their displeasure at the belt's appearance.
You need to. It's a different level of aggression. Watch out! Now they're off the barricade.
In fact, they would find numerous unique ways to proclaim how the belt sucks, including through song.
Great strategy by BALOR here as Rollins tries to.
The sing-alongs continued as the people asked for a new belt.
His mom, Leone, his dad, Fintan.
Then the audience got personal, calling the poor belt stupid.
For many fans who like to partake in fantasy booking, like
It only got worse for the inanimate object, by getting told it sucks in a more direct way.
18 years old, winning the NWA British Commonwealth heavyweight.
The match was completely secondary. The crowd started chanting delete and booed any time the title was visible on screen.
For everything that Finn Balor has done, Seth Rollins.
Balor came out the winner, but it was Rollins that responded online to the Brooklyn fans, disappointed at how they negatively hijacked the bout, not because of disinterest or poor booking like is usually the case, but simply because of how the belt looked. We'll see plenty more from Brooklyn crowds later, but let's stay in New York for our next entry as we go to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Survivor Series 2011 saw CM Punk challenge Alberto Del Rio for the WWE Championship. The match began with "We Want Ice Cream" chants, a reference to a line in a Punk promo from a few months prior.
I want you to bring back the WWE ice cream bars.
We want ice cream. Ice cream bar.
Punk's then best friend Colt Cabana also got a mention.
And then Punk locked in the Anaconda device and made Del Rio agree to this match.
The crowd were hot for Punk the whole match, and got behind him during a yeah boo exchange.
Style of CM Punk, he can use his legs, his weapons just as well as his arms. So look at Punk go.
After Punk paid tribute to Randy Savage with the patented top rope elbow, MSG chanted Macho's name.
CM Punk! Oh!
Guys, gotta be wondering what is it gonna take.
Upon securing the victory to become the new WWE champion, Punk showed appreciation for his supporters by diving over the barricade into their arms. It capped off a strong contest that the Garden thoroughly enjoyed.
He's do it with fist on fire, toe-to-toe.
Fans in the United Kingdom are right up there with the New Yorkers when it comes to best wrestling crowds. The Brits were fantastic at Money in the Bank 2023 in London, especially during the main event where the USOS wrestled the heel Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. 18,000 strong in the O2 Arena could be heard singing Jimmy and Jey Uso's entrance music.
2016, before they linked up with Roman Reigns.
Head of the table Reigns was welcomed with cries of "F you Roman." We then heard an interesting new name for the tribal chief. The tirades towards Roman were relentless and didn't stop. Reigns was in enemy territory and receiving the right kind of heat. It was like being at a UK football match as the songs kept coming.
But again, how do you expect to be treated? Roman Reigns.
People thought it was BS when it seemed as though Roman and Solo were about to win.
What Roman Reigns predicted. Smash him.
All four men put in a shift and the audience showed their gratitude as the bout neared its conclusion. London erupted when Roman was pinned for the first time in 3.5 years, courtesy of Jey. It was one hell of a way to cap off an incredibly fun match.
Do you believe in miracles? Cover by Jey. Jey did it. Jey did it.
WWE done away with filler pay-per-views starting in 2024. All big events now felt huge, especially since so many premium live events were taking place outside of the United States. One of the best was Backlash from Lyon, France. It starred one of the greatest crowds of all time. Right from the kickoff event, we knew there were going to be something special. Then, when the pay-per-view opened up, Lyon gave us an unforgettable rendition of Randy Orton's Voices theme song. If Orton's entrance wasn't spectacular enough, Jey Uso's was downright out of this world. The crowd's behavior for both entrances set the tone for all future audiences to try and replicate. Instead of the traditional yeah boo spot, there was a yeet no yeet battle since Jey was involved.
Changing forearms, middle of the ring.
We also got to see the return of the Hey Bailey song.
Title defense since WrestleMania, with the exception of the one Tiffany messed up a few weeks ago.
Bailey wouldn't want it any other way.
Few times in WWE have we seen the camera shake, but Lyon was so loud the whole building felt like it was moving. We even heard a rare Stardust chant. Backlash France was certainly a show for the record books. After the debacle of the 2014 Rumble, something we'll touch on later, fans watched the 2015 installment with bated breath. The majority wanted Daniel Bryan to win the Rumble match, not Roman Reigns. When Bryan got eliminated after being in the match for just 10 minutes, the Philadelphia audience were beside themselves.
Bray Wyatt eliminates Daniel Bryan.
They were infuriated by the decision to eliminate Daniel and made it known for the rest of the Rumble.
Crowd here still reeling over the fact that their favorite Daniel Bryan got eliminated.
The boos continued until Roman entered, where at that point they got even louder.
Oh boy!
Exactly 1 year on from his departure, CM Punk's name emanated throughout the arena, just as it did during most WWE shows during this period. As each fan favorite got picked off and thrown out, this train wreck of a match reached its climax, with Big Show and Kane of all people in the final three.
WWE fans, of course, not happy.
Even Reigns' cousin The Rock couldn't stop the boos, as Roman won the worst Royal Rumble match in history. The Great One's facial expression during the celebrations told the whole story. Money in the Bank 2018 was another example of fans not caring for Roman Reigns. His match with Jinder Mahal was a stinker, but the Chicago faithful made the most of it by making themselves the entertainment. They started out by reminding us of their hometown hero.
Simply a spectator, much like we are.
Next, there were NXT and Rusev Day chants. There was also a quick review of the match so far.
He's looking to strategize with Sunil. Well, certainly Sunil. And I do like the gameplay. I don't like you getting sucked in or the rest of us.
Chi-Town then showed appreciation for someone they couldn't see.
20, 30 minutes deep, and the big dog somehow finds.
A beach ball was confiscated in the crowd, which drew asshole chants from the security guard who took it.
It's final. It is what it is. But sometimes when you know, if you were giving a...
Chicago closed things out with Let's Go Beach Ball and a wave for good measure.
Boy,
Roman won with a spear after he and Jinder played second fiddle to the crowd for 15 minutes. The original black and gold NXT fans were always for the product, but would sometimes get riled up if what they were seeing annoyed them. Finn Balor and Samoa Joe's match at NXT TakeOver Dallas is a perfect example. It's a match the fans really wanted to enjoy, but outside forces prevented this from happening. Joe got busted open early on,
Finn Balor,
which led to the ref and medics constantly stepping in to try and clean up his eye, much to the dismay of the crowd.
and again the official was trying to. Joe got caught out here to the work zone.
With Joe seemingly now all cleaned up, it was time to get back to business. Sadly, Joe began bleeding again since he'd been cut deep. This meant there were further stoppages.
Anywhere near your eye.
The final few minutes finished without incident, as Finn Balor retained the NXT title. However, the dozens of stops completely ruined the flow, meaning the fans' frustration took center stage. NXT TakeOver London was one of NXT's most memorable shows, thanks to the UK crowd, who had an insatiable energy the whole night. The opener starred Asuka, who London were heavily in favor of.
High-profile signing to the women's division here in Lotus Event.
The tag team title match featured the type of singing you'd expect to hear on a match day in a UK football stadium. Bayley got the most favorable reaction on the show. She was serenaded with multiple songs cheering her on.
Confident that she can defend. Until that happens, there's a chance.
TakeOver London was an amazing event that was elevated to even greater heights, courtesy of the boisterous crowd. Like the UK, Toronto has always been one of WWE's best markets, where many of the most passionate hardcores buy a ticket. SummerSlam 2004 saw numerous babyfaces get booed over some of the heels on the show. Meanwhile, JBL's clash with The Undertaker for the WWE title was overshadowed by the crowd's involvement. First, they broke out into a wave.
WWE Championship match in the ring, and these fans are doing a wave. Booed the women, they booed Eugene, and now they're doing a wall cover.
Then they started chanting for the Spanish announce table.
Well, the people here are chanting Spanish table, so I guess they like the looks of it.
When the match ended in a disqualification, a fan got on top of JBL's limo, which drew a pop.
Undertaker's been disqualified after JBL and Orlando Jordan.
If the fans don't care about what they're watching, it's not uncommon to see them bust out some beach balls. The main event of Raw after WrestleMania 35, where Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston fought Sheamus and Cesaro, may as well have been called Beach Ball Mania. The New York crowd were already upset because of a booked match between Seth and Kofi had just been scrapped in favor of a tag bout. The first beach ball emerged during a commercial, though it was swiftly confiscated. A second beach ball was then taken by Cesaro. Raw returned from break with We Want Beach Ball emanating throughout the Barclays Center.
Knife edge chop from the Beast Slayer.
The third and final beach ball then tagged in. It was one heck of a party in the stands. Brooklyn gave us an AEW chant to close out the Raw After Mania festivities.
Yeah, Kofi all fired up, measuring his man.
Rollins and Kingston picked up the win after a curb stomp, but this one was all about the beach ball. As we've seen, the Raw After WrestleMania is one of the most fun nights of the year, as hardcore fans from all over the world create a party atmosphere. The Raw After Mania 31 in 2015 featured a 6-woman tag match that the San Jose crowd hijacked to oblivion. They began by chanting for NXT star Bayley.
Natalya trying to do the same to Naomi, and she does.
It was during the commercial where the fans really let loose, with crude non-PG chants directed at the wrestlers in the match and their partners, such as Nikki Bella and her then boyfriend John Cena. They then took aim at the married women in the match by referencing their husbands, including Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, Tyson Kidd and Natalya, as well as Jimmy Uso and Naomi. Naomi's team got the win in what seemed like a pretty uneventful match for the television audience, since all the crass chanting happened during the break. Nevertheless, this is an example of just how unhinged the Raw After Mania crowd often are. Next, we'll look at the match that started it all when it comes to the fans hijacking a match. During the Raw after WrestleMania, no one was expecting much when Randy Orton took on SHEAMUS on the Raw after Mania 29. It was a boring match with no stakes, thus making it the perfect opportunity for the crowd to run riot.
Well, you're right about that, and you know what that means? Absolutely anything can happen in this match. I love it.
The fans chanted for everybody, from people that weren't in the match.
It's funny, you're hearing a lot of chants tonight.
To those that were retired, wrestlers that had passed away, and promotions that were bankrupt.
Oh, Randy! Randy Savage!
Even the referee got some love.
Believed in Big Show, and Big Show...
As did the commentators, with each one of their names being chanted by the New Jersey crowd.
It's insane! Smart face. They're not insane, they're brilliant! Now they're chanting for Lawler! They're chanting my name! They've gone nuts.
When the Big Show interfered to end the match, the people thanked him for it.
Thank you, Big Show!
The segment ended with the audience giving themselves a pat on the back.
Big Show doing what he can because he...
This match set the tone for future Raw After WrestleMania events. It would also play a role in shaping how modern crowds behave when witnessing a match or wrestlers they didn't like. Few matches have ever stunk up the joint worse than Big Show and Batista's clash from August 2006 in the revived version of ECW. After the success of the One Night Stand events, this was the WWE's last hurrah in the Hammerstein Ballroom, one of the original ECW's best venues. Batista was SmackDown's top babyface at the time, but both men were truly villains here.
World champion!
Big Show tried to heal it up, but the wrestlers had go-away heat for the whole match. The finish couldn't have been any worse since it was a DQ, something that was completely foreign in the original ECW. We give this match 5 stars for the crowd, but minus 5 stars for the in-ring action.
Oh, we like it here on Sci-Fi.
There wasn't much the wrestlers could have done to turn the crowd in our last example. And the same goes for Brock Lesnar and Goldberg's encounter at WrestleMania 20. It was public knowledge that both men were leaving the WWE that night, so they were immediately greeted with "You sold out" chants, followed by the "Hey Hey Hey Goodbye" song.
Like the fans want to see him.
Madison Square Garden faithful cared more about guest referee Stone Cold Steve Austin. Once things finally got underway, the match got completely panned.
The egos of these two massive individuals. Austin now begins.
The audience would soon turn their attention to two fans dressed as Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. Apparently they were ejected from the arena after getting into a promo battle.
I find that somewhat offensive, but in any event, right now.
Goldberg was the winner, but Stone Cold stood tall at the end after giving out 2 stunners.
That was to Vince right there. That wasn't to the fans. Everybody took that the wrong way.
Stone Cold Stunner!
As you can see, the fans don't like when a wrestler leaves, especially if it's a fan favorite like The Rock. The Great One wrestled in his final match of 2002 before leaving for Hollywood at that year's SummerSlam, where he faced Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. The Long Island, New York crowd was 50-50 for a lot of the match, as seen from how they responded to the People's Champ.
With the Rock, injured the ribs of the Rock.
It was an electric atmosphere. One minute they were for Lesnar, and the next they were against him.
Keeping the pressure on the lower back. Now to Rock the chance. I'm begging these people to pick a side. Rock, you need to pick the game up now, my man. The undisputed title.
Brock won the title to earn his crowning moment, but the post-match was just as interesting. That's because it planted seeds for the heel Hollywood Rock character that would debut 6 months later.
Sing along with The Rock is over.
Let's go back now to Roman Reigns' 2018 run. It was thought he'd get his big win for the Universal title at WrestleMania 34 against Brock Lesnar, with many believing Brock was headed back to the UFC. This, coupled with Reigns' polarizing reactions, meant interest was down for their main event at Mania, as the crowd hijacked the match.
A separated shoulder after that. Oh my God.
The dreaded beach ball made a run-in only to be stopped by security, who received jeers for taking the ball.
If it means tearing the title, he's had an opportunity. Lesnar still stalking.
New Orleans wanted the match to end and got angrier the longer it went on.
Oh my God. And now Lesnar delivering the straight right-handed blow.
Lesnar surprisingly won, but was legitimately upset after the bell. He launched the belt at Vince McMahon after getting back to Gorilla. Vince had supposedly changed the original finish, which would have seen Roman winning. 1 month later, Reigns worked Samoa Joe at Backlash in New Jersey. The bout was notable due to how many people had left before the opening bell. This was a combination of the show going late, plus the disinterest in the evening's final match. Those that stayed chose to hijack Joe vs. Roman.
He's 25%. That's why he's the he is today.
Oftentimes, there isn't much the wrestlers can do when the audience reacts like this, since their minds are made up, but the talent didn't help here by working a painfully boring match.
And it looks like Samoa Joe. No question, his pace favors Samoa Joe.
People continued to leave as Reigns secured the victory. A tired crowd had witnessed a subpar show, topped off by a snooze-fest main event. Let's look at one of the early examples of fans hijacking a match by ignoring the action in WWE. It happened at the 1995 King of the Ring, where Savio Vega took on MABEL in the final. MABEL won the match, but the only thing that mattered was the fans' reaction. The crowd sat on their hands for most of the encounter, due to how boring it was. But the audience livened up by starting an ECW chant, which was fitting since the show took place in Philadelphia.
Listen to this. Hey, wait just a moment. There's a local wrestling group here in Philadelphia.
Vince McMahon, who was on commentary for the match, claimed years later that he conditioned the fans to chant ECW at WWE events. Nevertheless, this may be the very first example of this happening at a Federation show. Staying on the topic of ECW now by highlighting the legendary One Night Stand 2006 show, where John Cena defended the WWE Championship against Rob Van Dam. This was an away match for Cena if there ever was one. John received one of the most negative crowd responses in wrestling history. Trademark shirt tossed into the crowd saw his top get thrown right back at him multiple times.
His head. Nice throw.
John would soon be hit by toilet paper, and then the chants started up.
Paper TP as he snapped it. He got right into the foot.
Cena worked the match as a villain, portraying various heel tendencies. But in the end, it was the fan favorite RVD that came out on top in one of the most surreal main events ever seen under the WWE umbrella. Randy Orton also faced the wrath of the ECW fans at One Night Stand, receiving a similar tirade of chants during his match with Kurt Angle, who had just joined the ECW brand. Like John, Randy was the prototypical WWE superstar, which in turn meant he was anti-ECW. And it wasn't long until the crowd rained down a flurry of insults towards Orton.
Kurt Angle. Oh man, lock and get your knees in it. Oh yeah, baby. And the Orton is biting Angle.
Angle got the win in a great contest, but that was enhanced by the audience participation, as were both One Night Stand events the WWE put on. Let's now look at what happened when Orton and Cena battled each other in front of another hostile crowd, during a time where the fans were fed up with both wrestlers after years of matches between the two. The clash went down at the Royal Rumble 2014 in Pittsburgh and saw Randy defend the WWE World Heavyweight title against John. Those in attendance began ignoring the match almost straight away with chants for Daniel Bryan.
What do you see, King?
Not to mention chants for various wrestlers that weren't members of the active roster at the time.
Well, when you make us wish we were dead. Never give up, even stronger.
As the bout kept going, "We Want Divas" chants then rang out throughout the arena. Orton and Cena worked hard, but this was simply a match the capacity crowd did not want to see. Randy ultimately got the win with an RKO. The 2014 Royal Rumble also marked the return of Batista, which annoyed fans who wanted Daniel Bryan to win the Rumble match instead of the Animal. From there, Batista became Bootista, since so many people didn't want to see him main event WrestleMania. One of the worst reactions they've received was a month out from Mania at the 2014 Elimination Chamber event, where he fought Alberto Del Rio. The fact the crowd actually started out cheering for Del Rio tells you just how much heat Batista had with much of the audience.
Hey, Mexico's greatest export. They're actually cheering for Alberto.
Batista and Daniel Bryan chants soon followed.
Well, you knew that Batista was going to want to compete.
Then there was a cavalcade of chants for wrestlers who had either left or weren't on TV at the time.
I think think they're chanting, "We want Lesnar."
Batista got the victory on the night, but there was no question now the company had to turn him heel going into WrestleMania 30. Seth Rollins defending the Universal Championship against Baron Corbin at Stomping Grounds 2019 is an example of a match few were interested in due to how poorly it was built up on TV. So it's no surprise the 6,000 fans in Tacoma, Washington hijacked the bout, beginning with "This is stupid" chants directed at the bad booking and special ref stipulation.
And the WWE Universe voicing their displeasure with the choice.
This was followed up with the usual CM Punk and Daniel Bryan chants, as well as acknowledgement for AEW, who had just put on their first show.
Got a little bit of influence with those in power.
Boring chants rang out as the wrestlers struggled to win over the crowd.
WWE fans here in Tacoma all over Baron Corbin.
Rollins won thanks to a curb stomp to round out a weak main event. This match and show as a whole was an indication of where WWE was creatively at the time, with 2019 and this summer period in particular being some of the darkest times the company has ever had creatively. These last two entries will illustrate how John Cena became a master at using the crowd to his advantage. On the August 21st, 2017 Raw in Brooklyn, Cena teamed with Roman Reigns to take on The Miz and Samoa Joe. The Beach Balls came out almost instantly, something John made sure to acknowledge. Then Cena got upset when the security took the ball away.
Beach ball looks familiar from last night at SummerSlam.
As did the crowd, who rained down asshole chants at the security.
Down and Samoa Joe still in a foul.
Chants of "We want Beach Ball" later rang out.
Remember these two met in the mixed tag team.
Then it was time for a wave, which Cena hilariously joined in with.
Roman Reigns earlier that this is his show.
While many wrestlers would have ignored the audience in moments like these, John embraced the reaction. Instead of just working a run-of-the-mill bare-bones match, he got involved in the fun, which we can all appreciate as fans.
John Cena thrives under these situations.
One of the best examples of a wrestler reacting to the crowd took place during Cena's match with Dolph Ziggler on the October 12, 2015 episode of Raw from Chicago. In the early going, John noticed rumblings from the stands and looked over to see what was happening. The match came to a standstill as Cena took the mic and congratulated a couple who just got engaged, after the man successfully proposed to the woman while the match was going on.
She said yes, we got a married couple here tonight.
"She said yes" chants echoed through the All-State Arena. John stopped the match to applaud the newly engaged couple one more time, before finishing out a great back and forth contest with Dolph. The whole thing was proof anything can really happen in the WWE, though if Cena hadn't gone out of his way to pause the match and grab the mic, we never would have got such an incredible moment. As we've seen, fans can hijack matches and shows in various different ways. On some occasions it enhances the storytelling, while other times the wrestlers take a backseat to the audience. But that's the beauty of it all, because the main thing is that the people are reacting. Now if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video of 10 more insane crowds that didn't let wrestlers speak. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.